It's my honor and pleasure to be here in front of all the Vaishnavas. So please accept my humble obeisances at all your lotus feet. And we do this regular thing in terms of seeking blessings and um, prayers from all of you for this biggest topic, Srimad Bhagavatam, to be spoken in front of all the elevated Vaishnavas and devotees. So please pray for me so that I can please Srila Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj, and Srila Prabhupada, and the Guru Parampara. I'm very happy to be here in front of all of you to take this exalted topic, and like Premtata Prabhu mentioned, Amala Purana, right? So it's very important that we understand and learn the fundamentals of how we progress by hearing Lord's glorification on his forms, quality, uh, and pastimes. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And I'm not qualified to speak on such a elevated topic. However, I'm making an humble attempt to talk on this topic. And so please pray for me and please bless me so that I can share a few of my realizations in reading this wonderful scripture. And they say Srimad Bhagavatam is none other than Lord Shri Krishna. So let me share today's topic. Please let me know if you're able to see this presentation. Prabhu, are you able to see this in PPT mode or?
Yes, it has come through. No, it is coming still in that edit mode, I believe. So not in the PPT.
Okay. No, Prabhu?
Yes, it has come through.
Okay. So, let us start today's session. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devin Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जयपताक स्वामिनिति नामिने नमो आचार्य पदाय निताय कृपप्रदायिने Gaurkatha Damadaya Nagaragramatharini Nama Krishna Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhaktarishmate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshadharini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hey, Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone for today's Bhagavatam session. Before we start off on today's session, which is on Canto 3, Chapter 8, we'll just do a quick recap of the last chapter, which was very beautifully explained by His Grace Rajeshwar Dwarkeshwar Prabhu. Thank you very much for sharing beautiful insights and also the Mukundamala Stotra to Prabhuji. And prior to that, chapter 6 was spoken by His Grace Premadatta Chaitanya Prabhu. So the recap of chapter 6 and 7, primarily in chapter 6, it was about the entry of Supreme Lord in the 23 elements and all the living entities were enlivened. Then the gigantic universal form or the Vishwarupa came into existence. And the Virata Rupa known as the Hiranmaya, 1,000 celestial years, living entities live with him. So the power of protection, Kshatriyas, and production of grains and distribution by Vaishnavas, the manifestation of the Vedic wisdom, Brahmanas basically, and all the social, all of these things were put together, the social divisions within their occupational duties. So very beautifully, Premchanda Prabhu had explained in chapter 6. Before going into the details of chapter 8, I just wanted to pick 2 or 3 important key takeaways from chapter 7, which we all had understood from last week's class. Right, so basically in chapter 7, Vidura has a lot more questions, a lot more inquiries in terms of how things are happening. And so one of the most important questions which he had and he posed to Maitra Muni was, since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is completely spiritual as a whole and is unchangeable, how is he connected with the material modes of nature and their activities? If his pastime, um, how do the activities of the unchangeable take place and exhibit qualities without the modes of nature? So for this, Maitra Muni gives very clear answer, saying that although the 3 modes of material nature are created by the Lord, it does not control the Lord. It's most very important. And the Lord is the source of all energies, both spiritual and material energy. And from the spiritual energy, we all spirit souls manifested. And from the material energy, the material elements have been manifested. But the Lord remains the supreme controller forever. So that's the first answer Maitri Muni gives for that doubt what Vidura has on Ishvara. The second most important question what Vidura asks is also about the Jiva. Okay, he says Jiva is a spiritual is spiritual in nature. How can the spirit soul come under the influence of the material modes, and how can they experience so many sufferings? And how can the spirit soul experience the suffering in the presence of super soul? Okay, so this question, very beautifully it has been responded. So Maitra Muni says, actually for the spirit soul, there is no material miseries. However, if the spirit soul identifies itself with material body, then there are material lamentations and miseries. So one of the wonderful examples which is given in the scriptures and spoken by a lot of senior Vaishnava is the coconut example. I'm sure many of you would know about this. So basically, when the coconut shell is green, the pulp inside is very much attached to the shell, right? But when the coconut is fully dried up, the pulp gets detached from the shell, like what we call it as kobri, right? So like this, the soul also has to get disconnected from the material attachment, that is from the gross and subtle body. And finally, uh, in the um, in the verses following, Maitra Muni dispels all the misconception of Ishvara and Jiva, and he recommends one of the most important sadhanas for all of us to follow, which is taking the path of Bhakti Yoga. Okay, suggests that we have to come out of the material entanglement and we have to take up to the process of Bhakti Yoga. And Shloka, this is Canto 7, Canto 3, Chapter 7, Shloka number 14. This is Ashesha Saklesha Samam Vidhate Gunanuvada Shravanam Murare Kimva Punascha Tach Charanara Paraga Seva Rathir Atma Labdha. So, one of the key ingredients here is about how by simply chanting and hearing the transcendental name, form, quality, and pastimes of the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, how we can achieve the cessation of unlimited miserable conditions, right? Ashesha Saklesha Samam Vidate, right? And Gunanuvada Shravanam Murare. So by simply hearing and chanting the transcendental name, form, and qualities of the Lord, one can easily overcome the miserable condition. So therefore, what to speak of those who have attained attraction for serving the flavor of the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord? So there are two different methods for controlling the material senses, which is recommended in Vedic scriptures. One of them is the process of jnana, that is acquiring knowledge or the path of philosophical understanding of the Supreme. So there is Brahma, there is Brahman rather, Paramatma and Bhagavan. The other one is that of a direct engagement in the transcendental loving services of the Lord. Now, of these two most popular methods, the path of devotional service is recommended here, right? Bhakti Yoga. So, these two stages of executing devotional service are the first stage, which we are all doing, is um, trying to attain sincere attachment for serving the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. The first stage, obviously, is called the sadhana bhakti or devotional service. As we are all neophyte devotees, we are practicing bhakti yoga, which is about rendering under the guidance and direction of a pure devotee or a Vaishnava. The second one, which is the second stage, is called the Raga Bhakti, in which the mature devotees automatically takes to the various services of the Lord out of sincere attachment. The great sage Maitreya now gives us the final answer to all these questions. And he finally says to Vidura, devotional service to the Lord is the ultimate means to mitigate all the miserable conditions of material existence. The path of knowledge or that of, mystic powers can be adopted as a means for the purpose. But unless it is mixed with bhakti or devotional service, they are unable to get the desired results. So finally, by practicing sadhana bhakti, one may gradually rise to the point of raga bhakti. All of us are probably in the stage of sadhana bhakti. And by sincerely practicing the um, devotional service, we'll be able to rise to a point of raga bhakti. And by performing raga bhakti in loving transcendental relations and service, we will be able to even control the Supreme Lord. So Vidura now completely understands this and he says, Maitreya Muni, after understanding the knowledge, I should now experience it or realize it. And how do we realize it? It is by serving a pure devotee. And subsequently, in the next few shlokas, that is shloka 15 to 22, it is spoken about the service to Vaishnavas. I think it's very, very important topic for all of us to understand that even the minute of opportunities we get to serve a Vaishnava, a pure devotee, senior sannyasis, and we get so many ample opportunities to serve Vaishnavas, we should grab it with both hands because Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha, that is even the minutest of um, association and blessings we get from a pure devotee um, for the rest of our life, millions of sins what we have done in the past gets eradicated. So we should be so eager to serve Vaishnavas and take their blessings and take the association. So please be aware that every single opportunity you don't miss to take the blessings and association of Vaishnavas. And we get so many opportunities as part of our ISKCON association and Sadhu Sangha. I just wanted to emphasize on this point. Okay, so now we will move on to chapter 8, which is a very beautiful chapter. It is about the manifestation of Brahmaji from Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. Okay, and very briefly, I'll talk about the various shlokas and what they are constructed of. So the first 9 shlokas, shloka number 1 to 9, it talks about the disciplic succession of Srimad Bhagavatam and how Srimad Bhagavatam has been spoken from various parampara and then cascaded to us. Next, shloka 10 to 14, Maitreya Muni describes the reawakening of the creation and Garbhodaka Shai Vishnu, right? And chapter 15, sorry, shloka 15 to 23, it's about Brahma's birth and his search for the absolute truth. And shloka 24 to 30 we talk about the beautiful darshan of Lord Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. And finally, shlokas 31 to 33, Brahma starts thinking about what his services to the Lord are to be. Okay. So I will make progress here and I will pick up the key shlokas in these blocks and share some insights in terms of our understanding. So Canto 3, Chapter 8, we're talking about shloka number 2. Soham nirnam kshula sukhaya dukkham mahad ghatanam viramaya tasya pravartaye bhagavatam puranam yad aha sakshat bhagavan rishbhya. So the most important thing here is kshula sukhaya dukkham. So the living entities are entrapped in the bond of many, many difficulties simply for the sake of a little bit of material happiness. So I'm sure all of us are able to relate to this. For small little material happiness, many times we have done this in our own experiences, in our own lives. That's for the small sake of a small bit of material happiness, we go through so much of difficulties, right? And here, Maitri Muni is saying that um, let me now speak of the Bhagavata Purana, right? Pravartye Bhagavatam Puranam. And speak about Bhagavata Purana, which was directly spoken to the great sages by the personality of Godhead for the benefit of those who are entangled in extreme miseries for the sake of very little pleasure, right? Last year, there was this World Cup match in the finals, Australia versus India. India lost, but anyway. But that I believe the tickets were in the range of 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakhs. And the hotel rooms in Ahmedabad, where the finals was played, was costing in excess of 1 lakh. So the question is it worth spending that 1 lakh to 5 lakhs in terms of the tickets and whatnot for a 3-5 hour cricket match? And finally, you paid so much money to see India lose in that cricket match, right? And the question is it worth it? Similarly, it's like the comparison is given that it's like paying 1 lakh rupee for uh, a kg of rice. So Maitreya Muni proposed to speak the Srimad Bhagavatam because it came down from the disciplic succession for the solution of all the problems of human society. Okay. So only one who is fortunate can have the opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So all of those devotees who are sitting here, please don't consider this to be just by chance or just by your own effort you're sitting here. All of you have done so much of Sukruti or Purva Janma Punya that we're all so fortunate to have this opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and that too in association of pure devotees. Now, what happens is under the spell of the material energy, we all are entrapped in this bondage of many difficulties simply for the sake of little bit of material happiness. We engage in so many different fruitive activities and not knowing the implications. And we're all under the false impression that the body is the self and the living entities foolishly relate to all of these false attachments. Okay. And we all think that we can engage in various different materialistic paraphernalias forever. And we see death coming close by to our relatives, our friends, and loved ones. But we think this is not for me. I am safe. I am, completely insulated from all of these things. So, to stop all of these things, Maitreya Muni, out of compassion for the suffering men and the living entities in the world, he proposes to speak on the Srimad Bhagavatam, first time and last time. Okay. And on this slide, if you see on the right-hand side, how the disciplic succession, how the um, passing of all of these knowledge and this important scripture is spoken. So Lord Sankarshana first spoke this to Sanatana Kumaras. Okay. And from Sanatana Kumara, Sankhyayana Muni was imparted with this knowledge. And Sankhyayana Muni, he in turn passed it on to Parashar Muni and Brahaspati. And from Parashar Muni, Maitreya Muni got this, and he is now speaking to Vidura. So this is one of the sampradayas in which the scriptures were on to the various through the disciplic succession. Okay, so this is one where Krishna. The second one, what we all know, is where Krishna spoke to Brahma. Brahma spoke to Srila Narada Muni and Srila Vyasadev. And then Vyasadev spoke to Shukadev. Shukadev Goswami spoke to Parikshit Maharaj and in the presence of Shuddha Goswami. And Shuddha Goswami who passed on this to all the Naimisharanya sages. So like this, the Srimad Bhagavatam has come in the Guru Shishya Parampara and in the disciplic succession. Okay. So we all, I'll just move on to the next few slides. Chapter 8, shloka between 10 to 14. Before that, we all have already have seen the creation of the universe and the manifestation of the 23 elements, right? The 23 elements of the material nature, which was beautifully explained by Premdata Prabhu, I think, in chapter 6, which was derived from the Sankhya philosophy. Okay, and it was both presented in Bhagavad Gita as well as in Srimad Bhagavatam. And they explain how this material creation unfolds through the interaction of material energy and the influence of the Supreme Lord. Just to recap in terms of what these are, so obviously the Prakriti, which is the unmanifested, eternal, and subtle form of material energy, it becomes activated by the glance of the Supreme Lord Mahavishnu, right? And those 23 elements, how are they constituted? So obviously the five gross elements, which is called the Pancha Mahabhuta, the earth, water, fire, air, ether, which represents, earth represents this solidity and smell, water represents liquidity and the taste, fire represents heat and form, the air represents movement and touch, and ether represents space and sound. Then we have the five subtle elements, which is the tanmatras, sound, which is shabda, the touch and the feel, right? Touch is sparsha, form, taste, and smell. Then we have the Panchendriyas, which is about also five knowledge acquiring senses, which is the ears, skin, eyes, tongue, nose, and the five working elements, which is speech, hands, feet, anus, and genitals. And these constitute the 20 elements. And finally, we have the mind, intelligence, and false ego. The mind, obviously, the center of thoughts and desire, acting as the coordinator of all the senses. Intelligence, which is the buddhi, for discrimination, what is right or wrong, and for decision making. And finally, the false ego, which all of us have. And that is one of the reasons why we have fallen to this material world, the hankara, the sense of I, and the source of identification with the material body and the senses, and not with the soul, right? So understanding these 23 elements helps us to see the components of material existence and how they interact. It also reminds us what should be our detachment, what should be spiritual perspective, and what we should be in mindful living. Okay, so by the glance of Mahavishnu within this universe, he expands himself into Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, and he was lying down in the Garbhodaka ocean. And what happened next was he glances at all the living entities with his body, right? Text 10 to 14 is what is described here. So at that time, when Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu is lying down in the causal ocean, all the three worlds were submerged in water, and Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu was alone, lying on his bedstead, the great Ananta. And although he appeared to be in slumber, his own internal potency, free from all the actions of the external energy, his eyes were not completely closed. And subsequently, Shloka 11, 12, 13, they talk about how the Lord remained within the water of dissolution and submerging all the living entities in their subtle bodies. And he invigorated the energy called Kala, which is time. Then the Lord was there for 1,000 cycles of 4 yugas, Chatur yugas basically, in his internal potency, and by his external energy, he appeared to be sleeping within the water. When the living entities were coming out of further development of their fruitive activities, actuated by the energy called Kalak Shakti. Okay. And he saw his transcendental body as bluish. And finally, in Shloka 13 and 14, the Maitra Muni talks about the subtle subject matter of creation on which the Lord's attention was fixed. And he was agitated by the material mode of passion. And thus the subtle form of creation pierced through his abdomen. So piercing through his abdomen, the sum total form of all the fruitive activities of the living entities took the shape of a bud of a lotus flower generated from the personality of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. And by his supreme will, it illuminated everything like the sun and dried up the entire vast water of devastation. And Shloka 15 is the advent of when what whom we call as self-born was generated. I'll just move to Shloka 15, which is where Brahma is being created. Talloka padmam sa iyu eva Vishnu vivashat sarva gunavavasham tasmin swayam vedamayo vidata swayam bhuvam yam sma vadanti so abhut. So this lotus flower is the universal Virat form or the gigantic form of the Lord in the material world. Okay. And it becomes amalgamated in the personality of Godhead Vishnu in his abdomen at the time of dissolution, and it becomes manifest at the time of creation. This is due to Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, who enters into each of the universes. In this form is a total sum total of all the fruitive activities of the living entities conditioned by material nature, and the first of them who is named as Brahma or the controller of the universe is generated from the lotus flower. This firstborn living being, unlike all the others, has no material father, and thus he is called self-born or Swayambhu. And he goes to sleep with Narayana at the time of devastation, and where there is another creation, he is born in this way. Okay, so from this description, we have the conception of the three forms: the gross Virata form, the subtle Hiranyagarbha form. The third one is the material creative form, which is Brahma. So Brahma is created in this way. And what is the most important thing for us to realize as relevance for us? It highlights the Lord's role as the ultimate source of creation. Many times we think that we are creators, we are the controllers, and we try and put in so much effort in making sure that we do all the right things. But then we forget the ultimate source of creation or source of knowledge is Lord Himself. And the golden lotus is a symbol of His purity in which Brahma is actually sitting. And Brahma is the first created being who receives his ability to create from Lord Vishnu, showing that all creativity and productivity stems from the Supreme Lord. So for us, the key takeaway from this particular shloka, and we ought to remember this for the rest of our lifetime, is when engaging in any creative or productive work, remember to seek the divine inspiration and dedication. And most important thing, please don't associate yourselves with the result. Please dedicate the result to the Lord. Karmanyeva vadikaraste ma phalesu kadachana. Please do your duty and leave the result to the Lord. So sloka number 16 to 18, they talk about how Brahma was born, and he comes out of the lotus flower, and he could not see anything. He couldn't see the world, although he was situated in the whirl of the lotus. So he is, therefore, what he does is he circumambulates all of the space in all four directions. And by moving his eyes in all four direction, that is how he achieved the forehead in terms of the four directions. Then he's very curious, he is very perplexed. So he is situated in that lotus, and he could not perfectly understand the creation. And just like many of us, we don't understand the nitty-gritties of why we have taken this human form of life. And we don't focus on the real purpose and the real goal, right? So he situated on that lotus, and he could not perfectly understand the creation, and neither the lotus or about himself. So at the end of the millennium, the air of devastation began to move the water, and the lotus is in great circular waves, sort of whirlpool, what we call it. Then Lord Brahma, because of his ignorance, he contemplated, who am I that I am situated on the top of this lotus? Wherefrom has this sprouted? There must be something downwards if this lotus stem has sprouted, and that from which this lotus has grown must be within this water. So what Brahma does is um, he makes a number of attempts, and he contemplates entering the water through the channel of the stem of the lotus. You know, the channel of the stem of the lotus. But in spite of entering the stem and going near to the navel, because the lotus stem, along with the lotus, came from the navel of the of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, right? So he goes to the navel of Vishnu, but he could not trace out the route. So he still stuck there. And uh, while searching in this way about his own existence, Brahma reaches his own ultimate time, which is the eternal wheel in the hands of Vishnu, which generates fear and mind in the mind of various living entities, like the fear of death, right? The Sudarshan Chakra. So finally, Brahma gives up. He sort of he's unable to achieve the desired destination, and he retires, or rather comes back from his searching, and comes back to the top of the lotus, and controlling all the objects. Then he concentrates on his mind um, for 100 years on the Supreme Lord, right? So one of the most important things which we have to learn, and there's a beautiful story here about how Draupadi was when she was disrobed in the palace or the courtyard of courtship of Kuru dynasty. She was praying to every single exalted personalities in that court, right? Her own husbands, the Pandavas, then Bhishma Dev, Dronacharya, and everybody. And finally, she prays to Lord, Madhava, Mukunda, Murare, and Rukmini Devi is actually looking at Lord Krishna and saying, "Your pure devotee is seeking your help. Why are you not helping her?" Then uh, Lord Krishna says, "No, she is not fully dependent on me yet, because she was still holding one end of the sari, and then in one hand she's trying to pray to Lord Krishna. The moment Draupadi puts both of her hands and says, 'Krishna, Mukunda, Murare, please save me,' then Krishna comes and protects her. So like that, when we are in complete surrenderance to the Lord, it's very, very important that we develop that complete faith, right? Unmotivated faith in the Lord. That is when the result comes through. So at the end of Brahma's 100 years, when his meditation was complete, he developed the required knowledge. And as a result, he could see in his heart the Supreme within himself, whom he could not see even before with all of his greatest endeavors, right? So most important thing also to remember is, without the Lord's mercy, nothing can be attained. Although we could be sincere, we could be very much in endeavorance and all of those things, just like our Damodar Leela pastime, unless these two things come together, that is our sincere surrenderance and endeavor, and the second thing, mercy of the Lord, we'll never be able to develop that unconditional love and bhakti for the Lord. Right? So it's very important that we understand that. So Shloka 23 and subsequently, so Brahma now is able to see that on the water there's a gigantic lotus-like white bedspread, which is the body of Ananta Shesha, on which Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu is lying down alone. And the whole atmosphere was illuminated by the rays of the jewels of the hood of Sheshanag, and that illumination dissipated all the darkness of those regions. Okay. Now, as we saw the creation of Brahma and his efforts to see the Lord, and later the austerity of the tapasya and the meditation what Brahma underwent to seek the glance of the Lord. Now, what we will see is the darshan of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu as seen by Brahma, and is beautifully explained in the subsequent seven slokas, where um, um, the Lord's appearance of the body is sort of compared to um, Coral Mountain. Okay. प्रेक्षां क्षिपन्तं हरितोपला ध्रेय सन्ध्यार्ब सन्ध्या अभ्रा निवेर उरुरुक्मा मूर्धना रत्न रत्न उदधारा अशादि औषधि सौमनस्य वनस्रजा वेणुभुज अंग्रीप अंग्रेह. So, the luster of the transcendental body of Lord is actually mocked or compared to the beauty of the Coral Mountain. And very importantly, the panoramic beauty of nature, which all of us are bewildered, right? When we see a beautiful Himalayas, or when we're struck with wonder that, but it is all a perverted reflection of the transcendental body of the Lord. So, although we get attracted by the beauty of this various material nature, what we all should remember that it does not equate to the actual beauty of the Lord, right? So it's beautifully explained here in this verse that the coral mountain is very beautifully dressed by the evening sky, but the yellow dress of the Lord mocks its beauty, right? It's just uh, undermines the whole beauty of what the coral mountain, although it's beautifully dressed with the evening sky. Then there is this gold on the summit of the mountain, but the Lord's helmet, which is bedecked with jewels, and all of these Ananta Sheksha, the hood, and so many millions of the hoods is all shining with jewels, right? And the mountains, which is having waterfall, the herbs, etc., with a panoramic view of the flowers, they all seem like garlands, but the Lord's gigantic body and his hands and legs, decorated with jewels, pearls, tulsi leaves, and flowers, they mock the scene of the mountains. So here, all of the mountain beauty is compared to Lord's body and the way he's been dressed, and um, is explaining that nothing is compared to the Lord's body, his hands, his gigantic legs, decorated with all the jewels and the pearls and tulsi leaves, and they're all beautifully uh, decorated. Then the lotus feet of the Lord. Then we talk about shloka number 26. Pumsham swa kamaya vivikta margai abhyarchatam kama duga angri padmam pradash sayantam kripaya nakha indu mayuka binna angui charu patram. So here, the Lord actually fulfills the desire of everyone just as one desires. right? It's very important that we understand that. Now, as pure devotees, we are interested in achieving the transcendental service of Lord, which is not different from Him. Therefore, Lord is the only desire of all the pure devotees, and devotional service is only the spotless process for achieving His favor. Now, very importantly, the Lord in this shloka is being described. He shows His lotus feet by raising them. His lotus feet are the source of all awards achieved by devotional service, free from all material contamination. Now, such awards are for those who worship Him in pure devotion. The splendor of the transcendental rays from His moonlight toenails and fingernails appear like the petals of a flower. Charupatram. Okay, Anguli Charupatram. All his moonlight, which is Indu Mayuka, which means they're explaining into my moon-like rays, which is the toe nails and the fingernails are like the petals of a flower. That is how it's been compared. Now, Rupa Goswami actually says in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the pure devotional service is Jnana Karmadi Anavritam, which is pure devotional service is without any tinge of speculative knowledge or fruitive activities. Now, such devotional service is able to award the pure devotee the highest result. And what is the highest result? It is the direct association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is Lord Shri Krishna. Um, Now, after penetrating for millions of years, Lord Brahma could understand the transcendental form of Lord as Sri Krishna in the dress of a cowherd boy, and thus he had his experience recorded in the Brahma Samhita. Um, आलोलचन्द्रकलसद् वनमाल्यवंशी रत्नाङ्गदं प्रणयकेलीकलाविलासं श्यामं त्रिभङ्गललितां नियतप्रकाशं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. So Brahma actually in his prayers, Brahma Samhita, he is noting this and glorifying the Lord. He says, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, around whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers, beautified with the moon locket, whose two hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, and he is always reveals all the pastimes of love and graceful threefold. Tribangi, Krishna is called Tribangi, three different, bending forms of Shama Sundara, and he is eternally manifested. So he is glorifying um, the Lord in his primeval form. So beautifully explained by Lord Brahma of how merciful Lord is by showing his feet, lifting it up for rest. Okay. And the Lord also reciprocates in this sloka by saying, Mukhena lokarti harasmitena परिस्फुरत् कुण्डलमण्डितेन शोणायितेनाधरा बिम्बभाषा प्रत्यार्ह प्रत्यार्हयन्तं सूनसेन शुभ्रवाम. He says, devotional service to the Lord is very much obliging to Him. It's very important that we are pure in our devotional service. And there are many, many transcendentals in this different field of spiritual activities. But nothing like a devotional service to the Lord is so unique. Devotees do not ask anything from the Lord in exchange for their service. He also acknowledges the smile. They talk about the gesture, mukhena, by the gesture of a face, he gives a smile, right? And smithena, by smiling. So there are two reasons why the Lord smiles. He also acknowledges the service of the devotees and vanquishes their distress by his beautiful smile. And the reflection of his face decorated with his earrings, was so pleasing because it dazzled with the rays of his lips and the beauty of his nose and eyebrows. So the devotees are ever satisfied by the smiling face of the Lord, and they become enlivened. And by seeing the devotees so enlivened, the Lord himself is further satisfied, and there is continuous transcendental competition between the Lord and his devotees by such reciprocation of service and acknowledgement. And how we can understand this is purely by the gopis' unconditional love and affection to the Lord. There's a beautiful pastime how gopis are not bothered about anything what happens to them, but he goes to Krishna and says, I want to know who's the best devotee. And Narada says, Lord Krishna says he's in the palace along with Rukmini Devi. So Krishna says, look, I'm having some headache. Can you get some medicines? Uh, if you can get the dust of the lotus feet of one of my devotees, I will this headache will go away. So immediately Narada Muni goes to Rukmini Devi and he asks, look, Lord Krishna is suffering uh, from severe headache. Can you please give uh, uh, 1 second? Can you please give the dust at your lotus feet? Then Rukmini Devi says, are you um, mad? Because Hare Krishna, sorry, I have one question. Are you able to see the slides which I am sharing?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, it's visible, Prabhu.
Okay, because the share has gone out of my thing.
Now we are able to see Krishna.
Maybe we're stuck on one screen, Prabhuji.
What you are able to Rukmini Devi, Narada Muni goes to Rukmini Devi and asks for the dust. So Rukmini Devi actually scolds Narada and says, are you mad or what? If I give how can I give the dust at my feet to Lord Krishna? I will gain a lot of papa in this. Please go away from here. So Narada Muni actually then goes to all the queens in Dwarka. He goes to Satyabhama and asks for the dust, the lotus feet, and everybody refuses, saying that no, no, I don't want to get any papa by giving my dust at the lotus feet. Finally, Narada Muni goes to Brajabhumi, and he sees all the gopis there. And the gopis are all so inquisitive about hearing how is Lord Krishna? Is he having? Does he remember us? Is he having a good time? Is he doing well there and whatnot? Srimati Radharani is very inquisitive. All the gopis, Ashtasakis are all very inquisitive. And Narada Muni says, yes, he is doing very well, but he's got um, uh, sort of a headache. His head is paining. So I'm in search of a medicine for the Lord so that the headache can go away. Then the gopis are asking, what can we do for making sure that Krishna recovers from this headache? And then Narada Muni says, if you can give the dust of the lotus feet of all of yours, then if I apply that on the forehead of Krishna, he will be okay. Without any thinking of any split second, all of these gopis give the dust of the lotus feet. Then Narada Muni is completely perplexed. Are you all not afraid that you will attain lot of sins by giving the dust of the lotus feet of yours to Krishna to be applied at his forehead? So the gopis say, we are ready to go through millions and millions of difficulties for the sake of Krishna becoming better and becoming relief from this headache. So we don't mind giving the dust at the lotus feet of our thing. So please take this and immediately go and apply to Lord Krishna. So Narada Muni really understands what this, unconditional love really means from the gopis of Vraja, right, of Vrindavan. So it's so important that we are all thinking on those lines, right? So then we go on to continue to talk about the glories and the beautiful darshan of Lord Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. Um, I know it's already 7:15. Please give me a few more minutes and I'll wrap up. So in the next sloka, Kadamba Kinjalka Pishanga Vasasa Swalam Kritya Mekalaya Nithambe Harena Chananta Dhanena Vatsa Sri Vatsa Vakshasthala Vallabhena. So here, Maitreya Muni is explaining the Lord's waist, which is covered with that yellow cloth resembling the saffron dust of the Kadamba flower. And it was encircled by a well-decorated belt. And his chest was decorated with the Srivatsa marking and a necklace of unlimited value. So that's how the Lord is being glorified. And the next subsequent shloka also about in 29, he is decorated just like as a sandalwood tree is decorated with fragrant flowers and branches. The Lord's body has been decorated with valuable jewels and pearls, and he was self-situated tree, the Lord of all others in the universe. One of the most important thing we have to understand in this sloka is the avyakta moolam. So the word avyakta moolam is very significant here because generally no one can see the roots of a tree, right? Because it's below the surface of the earth. But as far as the Lord is concerned, he is the root of himself because there is no other separate cause of his standing but he himself. So in the Vedas, it is said that the Lord Swararya, Swasya, Swasraya, Ashraya, that is, he is his own support and there is no other support for him. Therefore, Avyakta means Supreme Lord himself and no one else. Okay. And the Lord in this Shloka 30 is compared to the great mountains. And subsequently, over the next three shlokas, Brahma starts thinking about his service to the Lord, which is about, he concludes that the object of all the meditation is about Sri Hari. And he could only see the five factors, which is lotus in the navel, himself, water, air, and ether. And finally, Brahma is surcharged with a passion to start offering prayers, which will be chapter number 9. So the most important key takeaways and lessons for our own daily life. This verse basically declares that the Lord as the ultimate cause of everything and the only being who is beyond material modes, right? And it also underscores that his transcendental nature, making him the ultimate object of worship and meditation. What we also should adapt and lessons in our own lives is recognize the Lord as the ultimate guide and protector. Worshipping him will only elevate us beyond the limitations of the material life. The overall reflection, personally for me, is to recognize the Lord as the ultimate source of creation, sustenance, and the purpose. And by meditating on all of these shlokas, we can develop, most importantly, the humility, gratitude, and a sense of purpose. Because there are four aspects of prayers, right? The first aspect is glorification of the Lord. The second one is accepting our humble position. And the third one is seeking forgiveness or begging for forgiveness. And the fourth one is asking for benediction. So these four aspects of prayers are very, very important in our day-to-day life of practice. And also we got to practice gratitude every day, every night when we go about before to sleep. We should thank the Lord for all the things which He has done for us and which He has given, and also accept our humble and meek position and beg for forgiveness. Every day we do aparadh, and we should seek for forgiveness. We should seek for apologies and make sure that we don't repeat this. All the day we do all the mistakes, and again, oh, anyway, in the night I'm going to ask for forgiveness, so the Lord will forgive me. No, it is important that we seek forgiveness and don't try to repeat the same mistakes. Especially Vaishnava aparadh is the worst thing which we can do to spoil our devotional progress. So with those few words, I want to thank each one of you for putting up with me for the last an hour or so. And I seek blessings and forgiveness if I have made any mistakes or in the way I have expressed myself. I want to thank and take this opportunity to thank His Grace Premadata Chaitanya Prabhu and all the Vaishnavas for giving me the opportunity to say, share a few words and my own realizations. Hare Krishna. I'll now hand over to Premadata Prabhu for closing remarks. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much. Wonderful session. Always a tough topic to explain, but I think you very nicely you explained. So, anybody has any question or comments? Anybody wants to add anything?
Prabhu, question for me. This is Vinod. So, Prabhu, the question is, I mean, when this water of devastation, I mean, during the time of devastation, right? So it is said that we submerge into the, I mean, basically the subtle bodies are submerged into the water of devastation. So is Brahmaji, is it the same Brahmaji? I mean, every time when he's manifested again, he does the meditation and then he again learns about creation, and then at the end of his life again he submerges and again learns it again, or how is that?
So, Prabhu, I'll try to attempt this question, but I'll seek Premadata Prabhu's intervention if I'm going completely out of the. From my understanding, Brahma is a position, right? So it's not the same Brahma who goes into into the causal ocean and then after the meditation comes back again and again. It's a position which the living entity or a soul, having done so much of meditation and on the Lord, they come and take. Okay, so every time a new creation is happening, it is a new Brahma who is coming into life. That's my understanding. Premadata Prabhu, I'll just seek your intervention here, Prabhu.
To be honest, even I'm not sure if I'm correct on this, but what I remember hearing is that there are different kinds of annihilations which happen. One happen in when so basically we'll talk about the annihilation which happens at the life of Brahma. So which Prabhu also explains that all the jivas, basically whenever that annihilation happens, that all the jivas they go into the womb of Lord, basically Mahavishnu, sorry, Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So I think the jivas continue, but in the sense here the Brahma, if so I have heard in one of the lecture that Brahma can go up and Brahma can come down also. So this is, as Prabhu said, that Brahma is a position. So it depends on the One thing is Lord desire and maybe activities by Brahma, that he is going to get liberated, or he may go down and has to take birth in some other lower this thing. But ideal thing is that the Brahma gets liberated by his wonderful devotional service to the Supreme Lord Narayana, or whatever, Krishna, and then that position is taken up by some other great personality. That's how it happens generally.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you for showering lecture for last 1 hour. It was so useful. We are having goosebumps when you are explaining the form of the Lord and many. One again a technical question, maybe foolish question. Here we understand that Brahma had 4 heads when he looked at 4 times. So when we hear this, do we understand that this is Brahma connected to our material world, and there are many other worlds where there could be Brahma with many heads. So here when we talk about Brahma, this is Brahma connected to the material world we are in. That's the way we understand or
Prabhu, Rajeshwar Prabhu, I could not hear fully, but I'm trying to phrase your question. You're saying that the Brahma whom we are talking about here, is he related to our material world? Is that what you're... Or...
Yes, sir. Because here we spoke about Brahma with the 4 heads. When I have heard from Little Krishna and many other places, there are also Brahmas with many more heads. So here our understanding should be that this is a Brahma, for our understanding, connected to our material. That's the way we need to understand. Thank you.
Mr. Prabhu, you have...
So it is, Prabhu, it is each Brahmand or universe has one Brahma. So when that annihilation happens, that is only for that particular universe, right? So that Brahma is specifically to that specific universe.
So this material world has many universes.
Correct.
And
Yes.
we have talking about one universe in which
Yes.
Garudapasai Vishnu
Brahman.
has
Yes.
given birth to this Brahma.
Correct. You rightly said, Prabhu.
Rajeshwar Prabhu, is that okay? Does that answer your question?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhu is not audible, no?
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you
Okay. Thank
for
you.
your patience.
So I think it's already time is up. So tomorrow I request everybody to come for our normal Sunday feast. I'll do my duty as a circle servant, making the plea that all of you should come for Sunday feast before Srimad Bhagavatam class, if possible at Guru Puja, and hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, offer up prayers to Srila Prabhupada, and then Gopi Geet, and then tomorrow we have Seva Prasadam hall cleaning. So we will have the liberty of sitting in Gopi Geet also and take Prasadam a little leisurely. And after that performing Seva. So Sunday feast means dedicating at least a couple of hours in the service of the Lord. And I don't want to mince my word on this, that it is anybody who is serious about making progress in Krishna consciousness should attend Sunday feast regularly. So Srila Prabhupada has created this for some purpose. It's not without purpose. And I always quote this, time is not there, but you see the Christians and Muslims, how devout they are to their religion. It's primarily because they go once a week, at least once a week, to hear to whatever their Maulanas or father or pastor, whatever. So I think that's the reason they are so devout to their teachings. So let's not take our opportunity which is given to us by Srila Prabhupada. Every ISKCON center that going on Sunday, and I know it's sometimes trouble, sometimes we have other priorities, but if we give priority to this, I'm sure the progress on the path of Krishna awareness is, confirmed. So please don't miss tomorrow's Sunday feast. Okay. So with this, we'll close the program today. Before we close, we would like to wholeheartedly thank His Grace Achutya Padaravindan Prabhu for this wonderful session. And we would like to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times. And expressing our gratitude to Prabhu for preparing so much. I think this is a tough topic, but it requires a lot of preparation, and PPT was wonderful. So we'll express our gratitude to him. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare